Okay, now in this video, I'm going to discuss on the inverse tangent function. So, as what we have done with the sine and cosine, so again, we have to restrict the domain of your tangent function because this would fail your horizontal line test. Okay, so what we do, we restricted the domain on negative pi until pi over by 2 only. Okay, because your tangent function, you're going to have asymptotes. Alright, so these are the asymptote of your tangent function. So make sure that when you restrict domain, you have the excluded bracket. Okay, now I'm going to cut straight away. So from negative pi over by 2 until pi over by 2. So this graph I'm going to cut and paste on a smaller scale, which is this. Okay, this. So the blue color again is tangent x, and the cosine tangent inverse is on the red color. Okay, so this one is when you have the tangent x. So your domain for tangent x, you will be restricted from negative pi over by 2 until pi over by 2, which is this. Okay, and the range, if you can see, the graph is actually going towards downward and upward like continuously. Okay, but it doesn't touch on the asymptote of pi over by 2 and negative pi over by 2. So we can say that the range would be from negative infinity until infinity. Now you see that the domain of f will be equivalent to the range of f inverse. So, and the range of f will be equivalent to the domain of f inverse. So what we can say, or what we can see, that your tangent inverse will be having the domain from negative infinity, which is come from your left hand side, until the right hand side continuously to infinity. So that's where you have the domain of the tangent inverse. And the range is restricted from negative pi over by 2 until pi over by 2. Right, so these are the very basic thing that you should know from the graph, and you have the inverse tangent function. Okay, now this question is in example 29, page 79. They ask you to find the exact value of the following, A and B. So let's look at the A first. Find A tangent inverse 1. So first thing first, you have to let your y, any unknown, equivalent to your inverse function, which is tangent inverse 1. And then make it into tangent y equivalent to 1, so that you can actually apply your special angle and your exact value. So y will be in between negative pi over by 2 until pi over by 2. But be careful over here, this would be an open bracket because you have asymptote on negative pi over by 2 and pi over by 2. Right? Still, but it falls whether it falls on quadrant 1 or quadrant 4. So you have to know that part. Now, because your tangent is positive, over here tangent y is positive, so your add sugar to coffee, if you have your add sugar to coffee, okay, you want to look at whether it's quadrant 1 or 4. When it is positive, it will be fall on quadrant 1. So this part on quadrant 1. So since quadrant 1, where does it fall, or your angle at quadrant 1, that gonna give you the angle y that gonna give you over here, which is 1. Okay, this one, if you look at your special angle, this one would give you the angle of 45 degrees, which says that tangent 45 should be equivalent to 1. But you want your answer in terms of exact value. So over here, your final answer, your y should be equivalent to pi over by 4, which supposedly correct that it falls between negative pi over by 2 until pi over by 2. Okay, so get used to it to find which quadrant does it fall, and you have to adjust with the domain of your inverse function. Next one, tangent inverse negative set 3. So this one again, first thing first, you let y equivalent to tangent inverse negative set 3, and then you're going to have tangent inverse y equivalent to, so you're going to have tangent y equivalent to negative set 3, and your y will be fall from negative pi over by 2 until pi over by 2. Or you can say whether it's quadrant 1 or quadrant 4. Okay, for tangent inverse function, it will be quadrant 1 or quadrant 4. Because you have a negative value for tangent, so your egg, sugar to coffee, okay, for this quadrant 1 or quadrant 4, this one falls at quadrant 4 because your tangent, which is have a negative, only at quadrant 4. Tangent negative. So what is it that you can see? You can see that from the angle which is at quadrant 4, you want to know a negative pi over 2 under pi over by 2. So find the angle of a negative angle is much easier. Your angle theta over here. What is the angle? A negative angle that's going to give you tangent something will give you negative 3. Now, this one will give you negative 60 degrees. Very good. So 60 degrees. Okay, negative 60 degrees. So your y, you put in term of a radian. Now negative 60 degrees will give you negative pi over by 3. So that's how you answer lah. Again, you have to play around with your special angle and your exact value. Okay, just to make sure you are having the correct answer.